That's perfect. And welcome for another day. So today we're going to talk more about the logic of the prime templates and how you're able to make sure that different elements, different objects are following each other, and so on and so on. You can react on, basically ask the questions. So the logic that we discussed yesterday as well. Before I do that, are there any questions from yesterday or things you want me to repeat or go over again?
Chyron, the question for me. I'm not sure this is already being shown earlier, but if we want to, import the animation or files include with the properties, something like from After Effects. If you want to load all the properties, include the animation into Prime, what is the best way to do it?
I just export it as a video, as an MOV.
Right.
That would be the easiest way to do it. Or if you want to have things separately, so if you want to have different layers in it, you can also just export every layer itself that you would want to have separately, and then just import them, all the videos on top of each other.
Chyron, which one is better? Is it GTC or MOV animation?
Yes, so the GTC is
GTC, right?
It's GTC. There is a converter on the desktop that you can use to convert files. So this is the file that we officially support, that we have tested through and through. So for that, if you convert it, then you're absolutely sure that it works. But we mainly support all the other codecs as well. So MP4, 8264, ProRes as well. So I would suggest just to find an export and use that. And if that's not working, then I would use the GTC converter because it's an extra step, of course. So if it plays out fine, the codec that you prefer to use, then I would just go with that one. If you encounter any performance issues or if you encounter any stuttering with the video, then I would suggest to convert that file.
Okay. Okay. So the best practice is GTC, right?
Well, yes, that's the thing that we've officially tested, but sometimes it's not needed, especially for smaller files.
All right. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Any other questions?
Pak Firdaus, do we have the sample animation so we can do the training with the real condition in the C2D? Because usually C2D using After Effects, right, to do the graphic things and then export it and then import to the Chyron Prime.
Teman-teman C2D punya file sampel nggak yang bisa
Pak Daus?
Ya, Roy.
Harusnya sih ada di Prime. Gue udah pernah upload. Tapi filenya move ya.
Iya. Maksud saya biar lebih tertuju trainingnya untuk day to day works-nya gitu kan. Kalau nggak salah di C2D itu kan dia pakai After Effects untuk create template-nya atau apapun, ya kan. Terus diekspor ke target sequence atau apapun itu, ya kan. Nah, kita lebih baik training pada fokus di situ. Bagaimana kita membuat template dari scratch lah, ibarat kata, ya kan?
Ya.
Terus bikin ID-nya dan lain-lain. Seperti itu mungkin ya. Kalau pribadi saya.
Atau mau gua kasih remote AE-nya atau gimana?
AE-nya nggak perlu. Yang penting sudah ada target sequence-nya belum? Atau nggak mau animation sample yang sudah pernah
aja ya. Bentar.
Kalau nggak salah udah ada di sini di drive D atau apa gitu dulu.
Ya, tapi itu satu apa namanya? Satu file aja itu kan yang MOV ya kalau nggak salah ya.
Nggak apa-apa, MOV juga nggak apa-apa. Nanti kita bisa
ada beberapa file sih Pak Nana.
Oke, siap kalau begitu.
Bentar,
gitu aja kali
dulu ya ke situ ya.
Gitu aja kali Pak Daus ya. Tolong dijelasin ke Chyron ya. Ah,
Bentar. Dulu tes uji ini ya? Advance kemarin apa aja ya? Dek. Baru jadi dek. Pelan.
hello, Chyron.
Hey.
Yeah. So what we talked recently. So usually in the C2Day channel, they create the graphic from the After Effects. Adobe, and then after that they export it to the target sequence or MOV file, something like that. And then,
ini dulu ya.
And then after that they import it to the Prime. So I think better we just do the training based on what they do in the real production.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So now they are finding the sample file from the After Effects, something like MOV file or target sequence.
Wait. Satu lagi apa ya? Kemarin saya yang ini Ramadan ya. Ini gede banget kayaknya deh. Ini kalau AM kan ini. Iya. Kalau bukan. Itu kan ini kan ini dari akhir itu kan. Ya semua aja. Ini juga file lainnya. Oh, enggak, ini juga. Ini kan suci. Ini filenya apa ya? Materinya AI ya? Yang tes uji foldernya apa? Kemarin.
Iya, yang JSON sama itu mas.
Enggak. Iya AI ya, lu bikin dari AI. Hasilnya dari AI. Panana, Mas Daus. Halo, Chyron.
Hey.
I have 4 files from Adobe After Effects. This one is the target sequence from with the asset from target sequence. The second is from PNG, the partial, and
can you export this in MOV file?
The third one is the dot API.
Yeah, so it's an Adobe Illustrator effect, or
wait one moment. I lost the.
Is it a picture? Does it need to be a picture or does it need to be a video?
The picture.
Just a picture, yeah. Can you export it as a PNG then?
Yes. The folder is in this folder, test CG folder.
This one.
Yeah. But you need to you need to export it, Pak Royce, because this one still After Effects project, right?
It should be the JSON file I have created this.
Oh, you already exported. Chyron, they already exported to the PNG sequence. So they want to see how you can import it to the Prime.
Can I report the Chyron first, so I can explain it?
Okay.
The files in AF files. The first one in the test CG folder. This is a CG in render, and the file is FP file, and this asset is from EI files. And the second I have the test CG PNG. The third I have test CG targa sequence.
What is the footage, Paris?
Footage is the assets from the AE project.
The asset or the result of the export?
Asset.
Assets. So you need to export first, so we can try to the Prime.
I should have the export the JSON files. I don't know why it's not coming up.
I think you export it to the targa sequence or MOV animation, something like that. So we can import it to the Prime.
Prime project. Wait.
Kalau misalkan belum ada nggak apa-apa.
Kayaknya harusnya udah Pak Nana. Gua udah ekspor ke JSON CG JSON-nya.
Yang di mana tuh foldernya?
Harusnya ini udah ada ya di AXG folder ya.
Itu kan yang sekarang ini Mas Royce lagi nge-remote itu kan mesinnya kan?
Iya, remote di mesin. Aku kan remote uploadnya dari ini juga nih, apa namanya, dari Anydesk juga. Tapi nggak tahu juga nih kenapa nggak keluar di sini. Nah, ini kan ada nih, jasanya udah ada. Yang targa ya, yang targa udah. Ini kan
sorry. JSON ini kan sebetulnya database ini kan? External data kan?
Ini harusnya buat import ke Prime harusnya ya, butuh ini ya.
Ini apa sih ya? Extension JSON itu apa ya?
Untuk ini sih import
animation
ke parent harusnya, database mungkin ya.
Iya, JSON biasanya kan database ya, external data ya.
Nah mungkin boleh ditanyakan kali Pak Nana.
Maksudnya tanyakan gimana? JSON-nya mau diimport?
Kalau di Prime harusnya tinggal kalau dari manual ya harusnya tinggal import ini nih JSON-nya ini nih.
Itu kan external data kan JSON ya?
Kayak XML lah ya.
Ya, seperti kayak XML, betul. Ya. Maksudnya Mas Royce pingin tahu caranya bagaimana kita melinkkan database JSON gitu.
Nah, ini kan nggak tahu ya, maksudnya kalau si After Effects ini kan istilahnya dari luar ya, installnya ya, bukan di PC ini nih. Nah, ketika aku upload misal nih tes CG targa nih, kan ini kan ada project AE-nya, ada aset di footage, ya kan, ini dengan asetnya targa sequence. Ini udah diekspor juga ke JSON-nya juga nih untuk kebutuhan Prime kan harusnya kan.
Ya. Enggak, sebetulnya kita butuh export filenya aja nih. Mungkin yang dalam folder footage itu kali, Mas Royce. Coba deh, klik deh folder footage.
Footage ini targa sih asetnya.
Iya, ini kan sebetulnya hasil ekspornya kan, yang CG in, CG out ini kan.
Iya.
Ini apa?
In out ini hasil aset kan?
Itu targa sequence animasinya, tapi
aset kan jatuhnya asetnya AE kan.
Bukan aset. Kalau aset kan sebelum render. Ini hasil render kan?
Ya, hasil
render. Oh iya, ini hasil render nih.
Berarti hasil render ini yang mau dimasukkan ke dalam Prime, ya kan? Sebetulnya kan?
Betul.
Oke, sip. Oke,
terus ada materi ini PNG juga nggak?
Nggak apa-apa, Mas Rois. Kita minta.
Nah, sebenarnya gini juga sih, Pak Nana. Maksudnya dari AE, sebenarnya yang bisa diambil sama Chyron ini bentuknya apa?
Gini,
apakah targa sequence?
Saya lebih rekomen Mas Rois kalau mau ngelempar dari After Effect, ya kan? Itu targa sequence, oke? Terus targa sequence-nya itu dimasukkan ke dalam, nanti ada namanya tools, ya kan? Nanti saya installin situ, namanya GTC converter. Nanti targa sequence-nya itu dimasukin ke situ, nanti akan keluar namanya satu file, ya kan? GTC extension-nya, GTC. Nah, GTC itu yang akan dimasukkan ke dalam Prime buat kita bermain template.
Boleh disimulasikan kali Pak Nana.
Oke, siap.
File AE-nya sih udah aku copy di sini.
Saya bisa punya akses atau enggak, Mas Rois bisa buka itu enggak di situ ada aplikasi namanya GTC Converter.
GTC Converter itu bukanya di?
Coba cari deh GTC Converter, di search aja GTC.
Converter ya.
Coba dicari
ini aja langsung di Prime-nya ya.
Jangan di Prime, karena dia aplikasi terpisah.
Oke.
Mas Rois buka di situ di Windows-nya, ya kan, namanya GTC Converter. Coba search, itu kan ada type here to search.
GTC ke IDR nih.
Saya nggak ngelihat. Folder masih Explorer nih. Kalau saya lihat nih.
Itu ini di apa? Chyron, mau langsung install di Chyron atau gimana? Di Chyron sini bukan berarti?
Iya, betul. Seharusnya di mesin Chyron sudah ada, Mas Rois.
Oh, nih GTC.
Tinggal cari aja. Bukan. Convert. Nah, itu. Ya, klik itu. Klik.
Keluarnya ini. Ada dong berarti.
Itu no. Kayaknya bukan itu deh. GTC Converter. Nah, itu. Coba open.
Nggak ada juga nih. Hilang shortcut dia.
Coba cari lagi. Itu mungkin shortcut-nya doang. Open file location deh coba, Mas Rois. Nah itu, coba klik kanan. Open file location. Oh iya, udah.
Kayak dia install ya.
Kayaknya ada yang install. Nanti saya install deh, nggak apa-apa.
Boleh.
Saya bisa akses di situ nggak?
Boleh. Monggo.
Pakai apa ya?
AnyDesk.
AnyDesk. Ada nggak AnyDesk ya? Oh ada dong. Apa itunya? ID-nya biar saya installin.
Nah, nomornya ini.
Atau enggak kita mau training? Nggak bisa ya. Apa kita langsung aja pakai target sequence aja kali ya? Nggak usah ke GTC dulu supaya nggak ngabisin waktu ya. Ya, supaya nggak ngabisin waktu ya. Oke,
ya, betul,
gitu aja.
Boleh.
Gitu aja, Mas Rois. Tolong dikasih lihat lagi folder yang tadi, Mas Rois, biasa kasih tahu ke
folder. Berarti kalau targa sequence foldernya yang ini ya?
Ya.
Media, AE files, TCG targa.
Oke, sip. Oke.
Ini untuk yang ada dua ini ya, dua skin ya.
Ada in dan out ya. Oke.
Ya.
Hi Chyron. Hi Chyron.
Can we continue or?
Yes, can you access the file in the iDrive? There's a sample target sequence. Yes, is it the footage folder? Yes. In and out. Yes, correct.
Yeah, I don't think we can import TGA.
Yeah, usually we need to have the GTC converter, right?
We can try. Let me.
But the application is gone. We need to install again. Yeah.
No. I can no.
Yes. Sarga. Footage. Yes. Oh, not this one. Chyron, sorry. This one is a batch folder. Cancel first. Cancel first. You need to open the file name. Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah, but now I can only do one by one.
No need. Just okay. The apps can detect the frame. So the apps already detect 27 images, right? And then you just go straight. Next. Next. It's okay. Next. Yeah, it's okay. Next. Yes, it's okay. Next. Then you need to put where is the output. Back again. Okay. Okay, now you can try to open the GTC. In the in folder. Yes, CGN. Betul Pak Royce ya?
Oh iya, betul betul.
Okay. Okay, Chyron. We use that background for the template that they use. That one is for the background. That one, the images, the clip is for the background image. So after that, we try to put the text on the top layer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You convert again. Okay.
Create the second one as well.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. That one in.
So I'm going to add some opacity as well to make sure that fades in. 100, and at the beginning I will put it at 0. Like that. We just select that as my effect in. I don't know why that bar is there. And it's gone. Awesome. Okay, then we're going to do an out as well. So then I'm going to use the other video. And then I'm going to add the text as well and some transparency in there. Transparent opacity in here, 100% at the beginning. For a second, it will go to 0. Okay, let's give this a try, see if it works as expected. Oh, I didn't set the out effect. No. In effect, out effect.
Nice, perfect. Now they ask to bind with the database. Can we test it? The text bind to the database, to the external data, something like Notepad or XML. We can test it.
Yes, they want to, instead of typing in information for the name, you want it to be linked to a database.
Link to the external data.
Okay, so do we have that information somewhere located?
We can create a text file, maybe simple text file.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Let me just put that in the data folder of the prime. Projects. Data.
Can you put three line?
I can, but how do you want to control that then?
Next we try it in the playlist, so we can next data 1, next data 2, and etc.
So,
is it can?
So what do you want to achieve with it? So you want to have a text file that they fill in the names of the people that will be there?
Yeah, so in the text file, the data, there's a 3 name or 4 name, right? And then after that, they can put in the playlist, right? In the playlist, there's a name 1, and then the next one is the name 2, right? And then the next is a name 3, and etc.
Will it always be the same names, or will you always change the text file?
Change name.
Okay. What maybe is an easier way of doing that? Let me make this. Put this to the. So let me save this one. I'm just going to show you all the ways how you can do this. But the easiest way of doing that might be using a message instead of a scene. So right now we're using scenes in here.
Yes.
And a scene is basically a generic template, basically.
Yes.
So
correct.
that means I can just drag and drop it in here. I can change the name that it needs to show, and I can play it out. So these are basically for you're still able to change it, but we also have something called messages, and messages is another window. Let me just open that up. If we go to view, we'll have yes, here I have it. And then I can go to messages in here. Can I? Yes, messages. And the messages is basically an export of a scene. So what I can do is I can type a name. I can take a look at it, and then I can go here and I can save it as a message.
All right.
Then I can give it a number, or I can give it a name. That's also fine. I can just name it Chyron, and I can save it. And then in my message, I will have this template. So I can just immediately drag and drop it to the output.
Yes.
And then it will already have the name filled in. So you're making basically an export of your generic scene and use that. Now, the only thing is there is no connection to a database. So you do not need to fill in the name. You just need to open it once, fill in the name.
I see. Understand. Sorry, I'm using bahasa. Gitu, Mas Rizky. Ini simpelnya, ya kan? Kalau misalkan nggak mau pakai database, tapi kalau misalkan mau pakai database, misalkan tadi mau pakai TXT atau nggak mau XML, terus nanti paling control panelnya tuh, ya kan, mau dibikin seperti checkbox atau kayak gimana gitu.
Iya, paham.
Gitu. Kalau misalkan cuman hanya simple nama-nama gini, cuma isi 4 lah, lebih baik kayak gini sih dibandingkan masukin ke notepad kan, bener nggak?
Bener.
Lebih simple seperti ini. Nah, misalkan udah ada guest 2, udah ada Chyron, udah ada guest 3, guest 4, nanti ini bisa dimasukin ke playlist. Tinggal masukin tuh guest 2, masukin ke playlist, Chyron masukin ke playlist, guest 3 masukin ke playlist, udah nanti tinggal next play. Hey Chyron, can you show the playlist?
Yes, absolutely. Let me just add the playlist.
Yes, nice. And then just drag and drop, right?
Oh, I see.
Just drag and drop them in.
Okay.
Itu Mas.
Okay.
Jadi projectnya template itu cuma satu, tapi kita namanya beda-beda kan, maksudnya seperti itu kan?
Iya.
Iya, betul. Jadi kita nggak perlu bikin template-nya banyak gitu. Template tetap satu, tapi teksnya banyak, itu disebutnya message. Makanya waktu kemarin saya sebutin message itu adalah isinya. Kalau scene itu adalah project-nya. Jadi kita nggak perlu banyakin projectnya, cukup message-nya aja, ya kan? Oke, clear. Jalan,
Perfect.
perfect.
Okay, any other questions or things you'd like me to show?
Let me ask. Ada pertanyaan lagi nggak kira-kira, Mas?
Tentang ini atau tentang yang lain, Mas Ana?
Kira-kira yang tentang ini. Ada pertanyaan lagi nggak? Ada kebingungan nggak? Bagaimana import dari After Effects, target sequence, ya kan? Terus ya dan lain-lain, playlist ada nggak?
Ya.
Selain
Gini, Mas Ana, berarti
Mas Ana, Mas Ana, lebih prefer MOV, ekspor MOV atau ekspor target sequence untuk diimport ke dalam parent ya?
Bedanya nih, Mas ya, kalau target sequence kita nggak takut ada limitasi dari size file. Kadang-kadang kalau kita bikin misalkan gede nih, ya kan, bisa berapa giga kan, tapi enaknya kalau MOV, ya kan, atau enggak FVI ada audionya. Enaknya gitu, ya kan. Kalau target sequence, kita bisa banyak panjang, ya kan, tapi nggak ada audio. Jadi audionya bisa terpisah pakai WAV file. Kalau saya cenderung target sequence lebih enak. Kalau MOV ada kodek yang salah, ini ya salah dan lain-lain. Gitu Mas Rois.
Siap.
Mas Nana.
Ya.
Berarti kalau sistemnya message gini nanti yang bakalan ditarik sama produser untuk bikin template ini doang ya. Jadi dia ngambil source template-nya, dia tinggal ngisi datanya, jadi tinggal nongol di playlist gitu ya.
Jadi gini, kalau yang di nanti real production-nya, produser itu kan dia buka namanya Octopus, ya kan?
Oke.
Dia buka template-nya, nanti kan dia ngetik tuh, ya kan, namanya siapa, di mana dan lain-lain. Pas dia ngetik, dia save itu jadinya sebetulnya message jadinya.
Ya, berarti kebaca.
Jadinya message.
SQ nanti
Iya.
Jadi message.
Kalau di SQ.
Betul. Dan itu nanti sebetulnya itu kenanya di ISQ, tidak di playlist ini. Ini kalau misalkan kita nggak pakai newsroom, caranya seperti itu. Kita di sini ada playlist lagi gitu sebetulnya.
Iya.
Gitu. Ada pertanyaan lagi sebelum kita lanjut ke topik lain?
Terkait itu tadi sekalian ya kita nerusin ke newsroom kali ya biar tahu juga.
Gimana?
Ya. Kan kalau dari Octopus itu kan belum bisa preview ya. Beberapa sudah bisa preview, beberapa enggak. Apakah itu karena pembuatan atau gimana?
Itu karena di render engine-nya kayaknya belum masuk. Jadi gini, Mas Roy, sesuatu yang ada di Octopus atau enggak sesuatu preview yang ada di ISQ itu datangnya semua dari render engine. Kalau misalkan render engine-nya tidak merender previewnya, jadi nanti di Octopus-nya kayak, wah kok nggak ada preview dan lain-lain. Pasti problemnya file-nya belum render.
Boleh aku show dulu bentar?
Boleh.
Kalian ke arah situ aja ya.
Jadi Chyron lepas dulu ya. Share screen-nya ya. Apa gimana?
Boleh dilepas dulu. Cuman ini akunku belum di-admit, boleh di-admit.
Oh, sebentar. Mana dia? Oh iya.
Satu lagi.
Oke, sudah di-admit. Hey Chyron.
Yep.
Can you switch off the share screen first because customer want to show something in the
yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Oke, udah kelihatan ya?
Gimana?
Oke, ini kan kalau buka dari Octopus ya?
Ya. Suaranya agak kecil dan apa ya?
Ya emang ada jauh soalnya
agak jauh nih. Oke. Oke. Gimana?
Kalau sekarang Mas Ana?
Oke, enak nih.
Kecilin bentar TV-nya boleh? Oke, ini mouse testing aja ya.
Oke.
Atau di sini aja deh.
Gimana aja
Oke,
bebas.
ini kan kalau bikin CG di Octopus, oke, create using Lucy 5. Nah, agak
Ya,
lama
itu
nih kayaknya.
agak lama emang, tungguin aja, Is.
Ini kita pada US hari ini trainingnya lebih ke arah ke produksinya langsung aja.
Iya, nggak apa-apa.
Biar maksudnya biar
Nih Mas Nana,
ketahuan. Oke.
ini kan beberapa CG yang udah saya buat gitu ya. Nah, kalau yang ini itu keluar cuman previewnya cuman ininya aja nih, teksnya nih. Si itunya belum ada nih.
Oke.
Apa namanya? Boleh nggak bisa
Oke, saya tanyain.
sambil buka
Biarin,
itu ya.
jangan ditutup. Hey, Chyron.
Yes.
Okay, you can see, right? When we click the generate preview, only the text showing. The background is gone. Is there any problem?
What is it behind it? Is there a video file or what's behind it?
No, it's not a video file. It's a static images. Mas Roy, bisa diulang nggak?
Mas Nana, oke. This is the Lucy 5 from Octopus. You can see in your Prime there is template SMS L3, right? So when I click this, the CG that I created, it was previewing the text only, and the background
without the background.
Without the background. It is different with if I choose the L3 lower third. When I updated this, I can see what. No, not this. Maybe this one. This is showing the preview of the template and the text that I. Aduh, error, bentar.
Apa tuh error?
Ini bentar lagi ketiknya error tadi. Oh, ini juga nggak ngupdate ya si datanya ya.
Ini berarti gitu. belum nyambung juga nih. Biasanya
ada,
nih Mas
tadi
Royce,
sih ada sih Mas Nana. Soalnya aku tadi nyobain bisa
iya, nih. Biasanya nih kalau menurut pengalaman saya nih yang error gini, text field-nya itu belum nyambung.
Tadi sih aku cobain bisa ya. Kurang tahu juga sih. Tapi
jadi kalau kita bikin teks kan, ya kan?
Ini bisa nih. Ini kan TTL-nya update nih dengan background-nya gitu ya.
Betul.
Di file dengan dengan file fs headshot ya.
Ya.
Di project, this is the project of the Prime Engine kan.
Betul.
Nah ini update nih background dan ininya gitu.
Kalau ini menurut pengalaman saya ya, saya sering nemu ini kayak gini nih template error.
Oke.
Coba ini gini aja Mas Rois. Kita bikin template yang tadi kan udah ada tuh. Yang bikin template yang tadi in dan out ya.
Yes.
Coba kita search di sini. Coba kita masukin ya.
Coba bentar. Itu tadi belum diupload ya ke itu ya.
Belum diupload.
Intinya upload. Sih ini Mas.
Coba tolong diupload ya Mas Rois. Yang tadi kita coba upload deh.
Boleh. Bentar ya.
Kita upload.
Oke Mas Nana.
Udah diupload ya?
Belum. Bentar. Ini berarti dari sini ya. Bukan ini offline.
Oke.
Enggak, salah dong. Berarti
nah, yang tadi itu, nah ini dia Chyron grafik kan?
Punya remove-nya dulu.
Nah, properties text field-nya itu, Mas Rois, Itu kan teks satu ya.
Bentar Mas Nana. Berarti aku nanti upload ini ya. Ini kan di Chyron nih.
Ya, di Chyron, betul.
Di Chyron yang harus aku upload ini kah?
Kita coba buka dulu tadi yang scene tadi, yang CG effect. Klik kanan, edit.
Ini ya.
Oke,
edit.
Oke. Itu kan kita lihat ya di control panelnya text1.txt ya.
Di control panel ya.
Ya kan, coba kita play aja deh, langsung ke play out.
Ini ke play ini.
Ya pokoknya kita udah dapat ini, ya kan, ke control panel. Teksnya udah bisa dibuka, diganti kan ya? Control panel, balik ke control panel.
Control panel ini belum ngisi itu
Ya maksudnya kita bisa ganti lah teksnya kan.
Ya.
Kita bisa ganti kan. Kita coba di sini.
Ini ya.
Kita ganti bisa kan. Oke, sekarang coba kita upload. Balik lagi ke editor, kita upload Cameo.
Editor. Ini
upload. Upload ke Cameo file. Cameo.
Ini ke default ya.
Default aja nggak apa-apa.
Oke. Nah, ini not synchronized folder in hub drive.
Nah, ini
apakah ada masalah dengan ini atau apa?
Jadi hub sync-nya itu nggak ke sync ke hub drive-nya si ini. Jadi ada yang nggak ke upload nih, ya kan? Hey Chyron, mesti saya tanyain dulu nih, ini kenapa nggak ke-upload? Karena kalau misalkan ada yang nggak ke-upload, berarti template-nya tadi kita masukin ke Cameo pasti ada yang, misal, contoh, fontnya atau nggak apanya itu nggak masuk ke sana. Akhirnya nanti kita ngetik apa, pinginnya font apa, nanti yang show malah fontnya beda gitu. Hey Chyron.
Hey.
You can see in the Prime engine, Prime scene, there's an error in the hub drive. When we do the upload to the Cameo, we don't know what is the error. So sometimes if we create template from the Prime, then we upload to the Cameo, the output is doesn't show in the preview. I'm worried because the upload is not successfully.
So we're not sharing the news demo folder. So right now you're uploading it from the folders that are not synced. So if you do it from the USTV, then it shouldn't have that error. It's also not the comment, it's also not shared. So, well, just to show that to you, we could probably go to...
Can you share the screen so we can see?
Done. So here you can see we can only show USTV right now. I created that as a demo, as a test, and the seed today.
Okay.
So if we go there, seed today, and we upload something from over there. We should not get any error. Let me see. Playout interface. See today. The only thing is the comment. That shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
The comment isn't synced. Can ignore that. That's probably still syncing. Oh, I probably need to share on the push all the pending. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's uploading the comment. So after this is done, it will work.
All right.
So right now, the only folder that's been pushed to the hub drive is everything that you save inside the seed today.
Okay.
And if you create a project that's called use TV, then that also works.
All right. Oh, it's a huge 24 gig.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's in there, but seems to be a lot.
Semua file yang di ini berarti ya?
Yang di C2D, yes.
Oh.
So if you want to have other projects in here as well, we can add them. I can add them here in the sync folder. That's no problem. But I need to know which one it is then.
Oh, I see. So we need to define first which project, right? Which folder need to be synced to the Cameo.
Well, I see that you already have some projects in here. If you tell me which one need to be synced in the hub drive, then I can include them. But there are a lot of them in here.
Okay, let me check tuh, Mas Sois. Kira-kira project yang mana yang mau di-sync ke Cameo? Itu kan banyak banget tuh. Yang mana? Itu kan ada C2D dan lain-lain. Di info aja yang mana nanti mau di-upload. Yang mana?
C2D.
Only C2D. Oke.
Terus ini Mas Nana sekalian nanya, misal ada item yang harus di-delete gitu. Itu nge-sync juga, misal delete di sini atau harus masuk ke mana gitu?
Nge-delete yang di mana? Yang delete di Cameo apa nge-delete di sini?
Di sini dan di itu tadi yang di-upload. Itu nanti ketika terlalu besar jadi masalah nggak? Kalau di-upload ke Cameo?
Enggak
ya?
Ada masalah sih. Enggak ada masalah
ya. Ya udah. Di folder ini aja sih, Mas Nana.
Berarti folder ini aja ya. Oke. So, hey Chyron, only the C2D folder.
C2D and mungkin satu buat tes lah ya, C-test kali ya.
C-test, oke.
Yeah.
C2D and C-test, John.
These two.
Yeah, these two.
Berarti kalau ngupload si update harus diupload juga ya? Jadi belum pakai.
C_tests. So right now it's downloading the render, so it should be looking good.
Okay.
So let's check it again. Let's see if it. If I switch to the test, might still be uploading. You synced? Okay, that's great. That's good.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, so that folder is added right now as well to the hub drive, so that should be working fine. Any other questions, or should I just continue with the training?
Mas Rois, sudah oke? Apa gimana?
Gimana?
Tadi jadi kebanyakan tuh banyak materi yang belum ke-upload ke Cameo. Jadi makanya banyak yang tadi tidak bisa di-preview. Ini akhirnya baru jalan nih uploadnya kan.
Ini udah selesai ya uploadnya ya?
Masih jalan.
Berapa giga ya?
Ya, karena gede 24 giga. Jadi kita bisa continue training aja kali ya. Nanti
boleh. Continue training nanti kalau udah
selesai baru kita
cek lagi gitu.
Betul.
Ya.
Oke, sip. Hey Chyron, you can continue.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's start with some logic that we can build in. Let me just start create a new scene in here, and to add some logic to your scenes, you can do that with the parameters expressions. And there's another menu that we can use, and we can use logic. So they're basically free. I'm just going to close this one. There are three kinds of types that we can use to create some logic, save some information, and use that later on. First of all, we're going to talk about, or I'm going to give a little introduction about the parameters. So parameters are basically little bits of memory that you can store and that you can use inside the whole Prime application. Or just the project, or just this current scene. And then you can use that information, you can write information to it, and that's always stored. So you can write any kind of guest names in it and use that later on. Or if you want to have some kind of score, you can keep that and you make sure that in every template you use the same score. Then next to that, we have expressions. And expressions are basically, you can bind properties of objects to each other. So I can say, well, if my X position of my text moves, or the width of the text move, then I can make sure that the width is linked to the width of the bar behind it. So I can make sure if the text gets longer, I will also have a longer white bar behind it. So the expressions is basically to use to link properties of different objects of the same object to each other. And then there is also logic, and in here we call them conditions. And the conditions are basically questions you can ask the system. So I can ask if the text of this object is empty, then do this. Or if the text is similar to a certain name, then do that. And we are going to start with talking about conditions. And you can very simply add them in here. And it might look a little bit scary if we're talking about programming stuff, but it's actually scripting, but it's actually pretty simple. And first thing you can do is you can name your condition to anything that you would like. And I will just keep condition 1, and I'm just going to add some text to it. Just going to type Chyron in here, and I'm going to add an image. Take another, then the flag. We're just going to take a headshot. Great. Yes, perfect. Yeah. And we're going to do a little bar behind that. Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to quickly save this. And then we can start building our condition. So, and a condition works pretty simple. I can just add one, so I can have multiple conditions in here. And in a condition, I am basically going to ask a question. And you can do that. I don't know if you have a little experience with programming, but we always do that with an if statement. We call it an if statement. And you don't need to type anything. You can just click on the if, the else if, and the else in here. And the if is basically the first question that you ask. So you're going to ask, well, if the text is empty, or if the position X is higher than 600. So this is the first question. So you always have an if. And then I'm going to start typing. So I'm just going to make sure that's always, of course, why I want to make sure that I have like names that make a little bit sense. So I'm just going to do it. Call it name in here. This will be image. Make it image host. And I'll call this bar. So now at least I'll learn a little bit what we're doing in here. So now I can start asking a question, and you always start with typing in certain object because you always need to compare an object to something else. So I'm just gonna say, well, if, and of course in here I have those three objects. So you can see automatically when you enter it, you can see that you already get some suggestions of what Prime is suggesting that you want to use. And you can also see, of course, our image bar in here, our image host, and it will probably also have our name in here, name host, yes. So I can just click on that, click enter, and then it automatically fills it in. And then, of course, we need to select the property, and we can separate that by doing a dot. And then you can see it automatically suggests for you that you want to do a text. So I want to get some form of text, and you can see that all the options, all the properties that are available in here can be checked. So so I can set, for example, the font size. I can ask for the font size if it's bigger than 10, or where the position is exactly. But for now, I will just use text. So I'm just going to start typing text, enter it, and then I can compare it to it. And I can compare it with an operator. And the first one is, and if you hover over it, you will automatically see it, what the type is that you're using, what it can do. So you have an equal to, so you can compare two things to each other. You also have a not equal to, so that's an exclamation mark and an equal to sign. And then you have a smaller than or less than operator, and a bigger than, a greater than operator. And of course, you can just type that, or you can just click the buttons in here, and then it will automatically do it for you. So right now we have the text of the name host is equal to, and I'm just going to put it in quotes, Chyron. And then what I can do is I can press the evaluate button, and then it will actually test, see if it's true. And if I do it, then you will see it's not true. And actually, wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be true. There might be an enter behind it. Let me retype it. Yes, so that was, so there, if there is an enter behind it, then it will not recognize it. So there was an extra enter in here, and then of course it will not see it. So now I have a question. The question is basically if my text is similar to Chyron. And then in here, I can then tell it what to do. So there are two ways of how I can trigger things. I can or do a trigger. And if I add a trigger, then you can see I can just trigger any kind of action or the sequence that we discussed yesterday. Or what I can also do is I can trigger some property of another object. So and again, in here, I can start typing, and then I can say, well, my image bar dot color is, and then I can fill in a color. So I can make it, instead of black, I can make it a different color. Or I can change my position. X is 500. And I can delete that one. And now you can see if it's true, then it will immediately move the X position. So you can automatically see it in here with the check sign. So that means that it's true. So it will execute this one. And it also has a check sign in here. So this is basically the question that you ask. So if the text is similar to a certain word, then you can react on it. And if it's not true, then in this case, it will not do anything. So if it's not Chyron, it will not do anything. But for all these other questions, so if it's not true, the first question that I ask, we can build in an else as well. So I can select my if, click on the else, and then I can fill in here what it should do if the if statement is not true. So then I can say, well, I want to have a property, and I want to have my image bar, and I want to have my X position, it's position X is equal to, and then 600. So now if the text is Chyron, I am putting it on 400, and otherwise I'm putting it on 600. So right now it's Chyron, of course, but if I change it to Chyron free, then it will be moved a little bit more to the right. Like this. So hopefully you understand a little bit how those questions, how those conditions work. So I'm going to ask a question, and based on the answer, it's or going to do whatever is in the question if it's true. And otherwise, it's going to go to the next one. It's going to check that. And in this case, we only have one question. So if that is true, it will do it. If it's not true, it will just do the else. So that will just be for, if the first question is not true, it will just do, it doesn't matter what the answer is or what the next question is. It will just do what's in here. And right now we have asked first one question, but we can also ask another one. So I can just go into my if statement. And then for that, we have the else if. So we're going to ask the first question, and then we're going to ask a second question. And I can do the exact same thing. I can do name host dot text is equal to Chyron free. And then I want to do a property. And then I want to have my image host. So we're going to do the other one. Dot position X is 400. So if I wait, and then you will see right now that this one is true, because of course, right now the name is Chyron free. If it will be Chyron 2, then you will see that none of the questions will be true. It's not Chyron, it's not Chyron free. Then it will just go to the else, and it will just put the bar on 800, which it already was. So this is just a quick example of how you can react on, how you can ask certain questions to it. And of course, I can use other properties as well. So right now I'm using the X position, but I can also say, well, if my name of the host, of the text field is Chyron, then I want to show certain logos. So let me just move this image to the right. So I can then just say image host dot opacity, I can change that of course as well, is 0. So if it's Chyron, I do not want to show the image of the host. If it's Chyron free, then image host dot opacity is 50, and image host dot opacity is 100. So now if the word that's filled in, the name that's filled in is Chyron, it will have opacity 0, so it will not show the picture. So let's just test that, see if that works. Evaluate, that's working. If I make it Chyron free, evaluate, then it will show it on 50%. And if I do something else, it will show it on 100%. And with this logic, these questions that I can ask, I can just completely modify everything inside the template. And the nice thing about these if statements, about the conditions, is that you always need to evaluate them. So that's what I was doing with these buttons. With the button, I was just clicking it, and I can see the status in here, and then it was actually doing it. So I also need to trigger this whenever I want it to be triggered. So that means that it will not automatically check this. But what I can do is when I have an Ineffect on my template, so if I go to my lower third, my properties of the scene, then if I expand my Ineffect, you can see we have, of course, the actions, but we also have a condition now. So whenever I load in this scene and I play out my Ineffect, it will also check a certain condition. So it's going to check, okay, what does the person, the operator, what did he fill in? And then based on that, it will build up the template as it should be. And in these conditions, you can also check the current state of anything that's filled into the control panel. So right now we only check text, but I can also ask if the checkbox is checked. And if it's checked, then I want to show red graphics, because now we're talking breaking news. And if it's not checked, then I just want to show the normal yellow one. I don't know why it's okay. Yeah. So every item that you can use in here also has properties, and that can also be read out. So just to show that to you, we can add another condition in here. And then in the control panel in here, you can see that we have a checkbox 1. So I can just add that. Then I can ask the question, well, checkbox 1. And then if I do a dot, you can see all the properties that I can change. And right now it automatically goes to checked, because that's the most common one that you would want to have in a condition, of course, because you want to see if it's checked. And then I think I can compare it to true. So let me just check it. So if I click on any of those items that I added to the control panel, then of course we talked about the binding that you can do and the labels that you can add. And of course, the name you can give this item. So right now, checkbox 1. But at the bottom, you have some advanced options. So you can see in here that there are a lot of options that I can change. And all these options can also be checked inside a condition. So for example, we have the text align right now on the middle left that we are aligning it to, but you can all change the text. And of course, we change at the top as well, but it can also be changed in here. And of course, all the colors that you can use when you click on it or when you hover over it can all be changed. The fonts, everything can be changed. But also by default, you can also make sure that it's let me check. Yeah, the checked one. So instead of it having it checked, I can also make sure whenever I load in the template, it's automatically been selecting this breaking news. And then I can say, well, if it's true in my condition, then right now you can see it has a checked, so it's correct. And if I disable it and I do the evaluate again, then you can see it's not true. So now I can see that, well, if it's true, then we're talking about breaking news in here. And then I want to have my property, I want to have a background bar red, for example. So let's create that. I'm just going to add my property in here. And I'm going to do my image bar. So color is, and I'm quickly going to take a look at what the color is right now. So we have a black bar. Let's see, let's check it. Yes, there we have it. So in this condition, it looks like you can only fill in the RGB value. So FF00FF would mean pink. And this would be RGB, so blue. Yes. And so right now, if it's breaking news, and we actually want to have that red, of course. So red, and then I can do it in my else. So if I select my if, I can do an else as well. And then I want to do the exact same. But then I want to do my image bar dot color is 0000FF, which means it will be blue. So, and now we can actually check this. So, and of course I need to trigger this condition. So a condition always needs to be triggered. So if I go to my lower third text, then I will just remove this first condition and I will use the second condition. Of course, you can name it, of course, correctly to breaking news check, for example. Let's actually do that. Oh, it's using the bring check, perfect. So, and now of course what we need to do is we need to make sure that we trigger this. So if I go to lower third test, I'm just gonna select this. So right now, whenever I load it in, it triggers the effect in that I've configured. And that will be the breaking check in here. So it will check it, see if the breaking news check has been checked. And if it is, it will show it red. And if it's not, it will show it blue. So let's save this one. Let's quickly create an in effect as well for that. So I'm just going to put it in a group. Perfect. I'm going to put it in a group, and I'm going to yes. Control Z also works on this environment. And now I can just put the group, and I'm just going to add the position in here. After a second, this should be the final position. And at the beginning, I will move it a little bit to the left. So at least we have an effect in. I will just go to my scene properties, and I will expand this, and I will use my Ineffect as well as my effect in. Ctrl S, give it a save, and then we should be able to, yes, here it is. Let's clear that one. And now, you can see it will be blue when it's played out. And if I clear it, and when I check it, it will automatically be red on the output. So right now you can see that it's not triggering on the preview, but we should be able to add that because it only does it on the effect in. So let's just open up the editor again. And then we should also be able to, if I go around, go to the control panel, that in here, I am also able to add an event. So we have the properties, of course, of this object, but every object also has some events that I can use. And especially with the control panel, this is really handy. So I can say, well, when the checked has changed, I want to do something. So then I can check my breaking news check condition again. So now, if I save it, I clear this one. Then I'm also able to see that in the preview itself. So just a quick recap. On the control panel, we can add all kinds of properties, all kinds of objects. And one of them, for example, is the checkbox. And by clicking on it or enabling it, you can build a condition and you can ask the question if it's checked. If it's checked, I want to update a certain color, a certain property of another object. And if it's not checked, I want to change it to a different color. So it will always have one of the two colors. And then I can trigger this condition, of course, on the in of the scene. So if I go to my properties in here, you can select it as an effect in, just as the action that we have selected. And then it will always, whenever you load it in, it will automatically trigger it. But it can, of course, also be good to, if you want to see the direct update whenever you select the breaking news or deselect it, you can also just go into the breaking news in the control panel, go to the event, and then select whenever it's changed. So whenever the check changed, doesn't mean if it's on or off. You can also make sure that it checks it again. So that means that in the preview, it will also have the latest update. And if you change it on the output, if you accidentally put it on breaking news and it's not breaking news, you can just tick it again and then it updates it without taking it off. And you can see we have more options. So also after it's checked or after unchecked. So you can also say, I only want to trigger something when it's turned on and not when it's turned off, or the other way around. Does that make sense? Any questions so far about that?
Ada pertanyaan nggak, Mas Rois? Ada pertanyaan, rekan-rekan? ini kelihatannya akan banyak terpakai juga loh condition ini. Mas Rifki, ada pertanyaan?
Sih coba kalau ngeletakin ininya sih power tab-nya takutnya kalau beda gitu.
Maksudnya gimana?
Posisi kan apa lower tab-nya teksnya mungkin posisinya bakalan beda-beda ya. Posisi X dan Y-nya tiap teks beda nanti itu. Nah, kita emang sih tinggal nyeklistnya itu enak sih. Jadi semua program bisa satu template kalau saya pikirin ini nih.
Kalau X itu biasanya pointing yang paling kiri dia. Kalau kita sortnya left ya, alignment-nya. Gitu. Kalau alignment-nya kiri ya, itu posisi X-nya itu adalah di paling kiri bawah.
Ini apa maksud?
Misalkan kita tulis X-nya 0 gitu ya kan, dia pasti akan berada tulisannya paling bawah tuh, Mas, pojok kiri bawah. Kalau alignment-nya left ya, tapi kalau alignment-nya center, pas kita tulis X-nya 0, itu pasti di tengah. Nanti
bukan itu sih, arahku bukan situ sih.
Gimana?
Arahku lebih ke, misal kalau kan tulisan lower tab ini kayak kita manggil klipnya lower tab-nya breaking news. Nah, untuk teksnya itu kan posisi X, Y, Z-nya kan nanti beda-beda nih. Nah, itu berarti statementnya bakalan lebih banyak dong untuk manggil, untuk kalau kita nyetlist breaking news gitu. Berarti
enggak. Ini sebetulnya kalau misalkan Mas Rizky pingin punya satu project ya kan, template ya kan, tapi misalkan kalau diklik breaking news nanti ada keluar logo atau nggak tulisan breaking news. Kalau nggak diklik, berarti dia template-nya template regular.
Iya.
Seperti itu contohnya. Kurang lebihnya gitu loh. Kalau misalkan Mas klik tuh, maksudnya buat nge-trigger supaya munculin logo breaking news atau nggak tulisan breaking news. Kalau nggak diklik, tapi defaultnya mungkin nggak keklik lah misalkan kan, ya kan. Jadi dia nggak ada logo breaking newsnya. Itu cuma contoh aja. Cuman in the real life productionnya ini condition ini banyak kepake karena apa? Karena waktu itu saya nemuin pakai condition ini gini. Misalkan template background Mas itu akan mengikuti jumlah karakternya. Misalkan teksnya Jakarta Raya, ya kan? Mas pingin tuh backgroundnya, ya kan, warna merah atau warna putih, background template-nya itu ngikutin ngepas sesuai dengan teksnya.
Iya.
Nah, itu pakai condition begini, Mas.
Iya.
Karena kan kalau news kan kita banyak nih beritanya kan, berita banjir dan lain-lain, dan teksnya itu kan pasti dinamis kan, ya kan? Ada yang panjang, ada yang pendek. Nah, condition ini banyak banget dipakai nantinya, saya yakin, karena pengalaman saya seperti itu. Makanya harus ngerti banget nih buat bikin condition seperti ini. Ada pertanyaan nggak di condition ini? Kalau misalkan nggak ada pertanyaan untuk saat ini nggak apa-apa, tapi minimal next Mas coba-coba bikin condition di sini. Jadi kalau nanti kalau dicoba pasti nanti akan keluar pertanyaan kalau misalkan mentok.
Siap.
Gitu aja. Oke.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Mas Rois, ada pertanyaan Mas Rois? Lanjut ya. Oke. Chyron.
Yep.
All good, cool. You can carry on.
Okay, perfect. So this is just a quick question you can ask the system, and based on the reaction of the system, you can respond on that. You can of course do that via the control panel, and you can basically ask the information from all these. The same thing, for example, for a combo box. Let's give you a quick example of that. So if I want to add information to the combo box, I can just do that by adding them in the advanced menu. So there should be an items in here. I can double click that. And then in here, I can fill in items that needs to be shown inside this combo box. So I can do Chyron prime. And I can OK that. And then if I open up, render out this template, then I will have those 3 items in it. So I can just go to the items in the advanced menu, and I can add everything, all the items in here. And now, of course, what I need to do is I need to make sure that I link that, of course, to my text field. So I can do that very simply just by going to the editor, and then I can build a new condition, and I can say, well, if something has changed, I want to make sure that that has been pushed directly. So I can or link it. Not an event, target binding. So this is, of course, the easy way. I can just bind it directly to it. I can save it, go to the playlist. And then if I change it, then you can see it automatically updates it in here on my preview, and then I can play it out. So right now it's already linked. That's the easiest. And of course, you can also, if I go to my editor in here, I can go to my events. And then in here, I can say, oh, no, don't stop sharing. Do that again. I can also say, well, whenever the property is changed, I want to add a certain trigger if the text is changed. And then I want to trigger or an action or a certain condition. And then I can link everything to each other. But via the properties and binding it in here is the easiest way to make sure if you change something, it automatically updates the text. Same thing goes, of course, for list view. So that works actually exactly the same as a combo box. In here, you also have an items option in here, so I can add multiple things inside my list. And then I can select on it, and whenever I select it, I can or bind it directly. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to bind it directly. Or, of course, with an event, you can say, well, whenever the text is changed, I want it to automatically update it on the output. Yeah, so that's a quick overview of the logic, so the conditions. And then besides that, we also had the other two, so the parameters and expressions. So let's start with the expressions. And the expressions are basically a simple way to link certain properties of objects to each other. So if I go back to my canvas, so just to give you a quick example, so let's have some text. We have Chyron in here, and we have an image, and the image will be our black bar. And the image will be behind the actual text field. And I'm just going to name it. It will be bar, and the other one will be name. Perfect. Okay, so right now, if I move my text around, oh, and this is the skill, of course, don't want to do that. Move it around. Then you can see, of course, those are just two different objects which are not linked to each other. And now what we can do is we can link them with an expression. And I can just add it. I can, of course, give it a name. I can enable it if I want to. And now what I can do is I want to basically get the X position of my text. And I want to link that to the X position of the image of the bar. And I can just do that just by dragging and dropping. So I can just add my expression. And then you can of course also type it. So the name of the object dot the property that you would want to change. So name dot position X. And then you have a current value in here. So if I move my text around, you will see that the value is constantly changing. Okay, that's great. And now, of course, I want to bind that to the X position of the image. So I can, again, do drag and drop or type it in. And then you will see that it's bar.position X. And now if I move it around, you will see that it's on the X position, of course, not on the I position, but only on the X. They're linked to each other. So two properties of different objects can be linked with an expression. And now, of course, but what you see, of course, is that, yeah, on this object, it is linked completely to the left side of the text. And in here, it's centered to the center. So the middle of the bar is linked to the left of the text field. And that is because for some reason, the text field has the pivot point on the left, and images will always have it on the center. And what I normally do to fix that is I can change the pivot point in here. So you can see that the origin is 0 with 50 off. So if I change that to 0, then it will right now be linked to the left bottom side. And that's perfect. So right now it's all linked to the left side. That's great. And now, of course, what I can do is I can add extra values in my expression. So I can also do some calculations in here. So what I can do is I can just do plus 50, and then we can see what happens. Then you can see the bar goes a little bit more to the left. So, but of course, I want to have a little bit more space between the text and the bar. So I'm just going to do minus 50. And then you can see for the X position, it is right now centered a little bit more to the left. So that's great. And now, of course, if I want to take the I position in account as well, I can just add another expression. And I'm just going to say, well, I want to have the I position of the this one, and I want to have the I position linked to the I position of the bar. And now, of course, you can see that it is linked completely on the X and the I. And of course, I can do the exact same. So I can also do, I want to do plus 50. No, then again, the other way around. Minus 50, well, we're almost there. Minus 70, perfect. So now, of course, I can just move my text around and it will always have this black bar behind it. But now, of course, you will notice that right now, of course, should fit it to scale to fit. But if I turn that off, now you will notice, of course, that I can type longer than the actual bar is. And of course, you can make an expression for that as well. So I can just add another expression, and I can then just take the width. I can take the width of the text. No, I can't do that. I have to take the width of the size of the name. Fit the text. Perfect. And then I need to, of course, fit that to the width of the bar. And now, of course, you can see that it is longer in here. So I can just add some couple of pieces in here. So if I change my text right now, and then, of course, normally this happens automatically, fit the text. But right now, if I'm doing it in the editor, I still need to change it. But then if I press the fit the text in here, then it will automatically update it to the correct size. So now you're always making sure that depending on how long your text is, it will automatically have a bar behind it. And of course, you can also do this for the height. So if you want to make sure that if you wrap the text and there is a second line in here, you can also make sure that you link the height to each other of these images, of the text and the image, to make sure that if there is another line, it will also have a black bar behind it. So this is basically the idea of an expression. making sure that you link the width and the height or any kind of properties to each other. And the difference, if you compare it to a condition, is that these things are always triggered. So it doesn't matter. I don't need to press a button or something. It will automatically always be linked. So if one thing is changed, so the position, X position of the name is changed, it will automatically update that to whatever it's bound to. So this is a quick explanation of the expression. Any questions so far on this?
Ada pertanyaan, Mas Rais, Pak Rizky?
Nggak ada Mas, tapi udah ngerti sih konsepnya ini.
Konsepnya udah ngerti ya, nge-binding ya?
Iya, iya.
Dua objek. Oke, Chyron, all good.
Okay, perfect. Then we have a next thing, that's the parameters in here. And the parameters are basically little bits of memory that's reserved for any kind of information that you can store into the Prime application. And there are, I think in this version, there are 2 or 3. Let me see. I might be able to change that in here. Oh, yes, I can do that in here. Let's get, there are 3 in total. And yeah, this is just a little bit of memory I can store, and I can use that through my whole project, or just a scene, or the whole Prime application. And the reason why we want to have it is that sometimes that you want to use maybe, let's say if you want to have like a score, you're keeping a score of some kind of game, then of course it could be that you need to have that same score into all the templates. So you always want to have a little bit in the, let's say the right upper corner, you want to show this, the current score. And then it would be really hard if you have to, of course, fill in the score for every template if you put it on there. So for that thing, we created parameters. And these are just basically, little spaces where you can store information in. So for example, the score, or for example, the type of show that you're doing. So is it a special holiday or something? Then based on that information, you can read out and use that inside the graphic. So you can check, well, if the type of show is Christmas, then I want to show a Christmas logo. If the type of show is, I don't know, Halloween, then you want to show any kind of, or is it snowing outside, then you want to show snow graphics, and so on and so on. So it works pretty simple. I can just name it whatever I like. And I will just say, well, let's start simple. Let's start with a name. And then it automatically appears in the parameters in here, as you can see. So there's a special tab in here for parameters that you created. And I might not, so I can't name it name because that's probably already used in the Prime application. So I will name it name show. And then we have a scope that we have to fill in. So I can make it name. So that means that this scene, this parameter will only be available in this template, in this scene. I can also do a project. And that means that in my news demo project, we will all be able to see this parameter and use it. And there is also an application. So that means that for all the projects that I've selected, I will always have this name show available. And then you can select a type that you want to use. So if you have some experience with developing, you will probably recognize a couple of them. And this is just to save some space, basically. So because parameters can have like a lot of space reserved for if you just want to have like a very small, if you just want to store a number, that's of course really small. So you don't need to have all that available space. So for example, just to give you an idea, and Boolean is just true or false. That's just on or off. So, and to save basically a little bit of memory inside the machine, they prepared that already for you. So normally I will just use an integer, and that is just a 1 or 2 or 3 if you want to use numbers. So that's without the comma. If you want to use values with a comma, you can do a float or a long, for example, or double. And if you use a string is for any kind of value. So then I can type all the characters that I would like. So I can type name. So if I want to do a name, and that's what I want to do in this case, then I would use a string in here. And I will just use Chyron. And of course, I need to select my scope to the project in here. So then everything will be available for the project. So my value is right now Chyron. So the name show is the name of the parameter. The value is Chyron. And then I can also already directly bind it to a certain object. So let's add in here a text field. I'll type something in it. I'll make it red. And then I can also already bind it directly to that text field. So I'll name this last name. And then, well, I can or drag and drop. Maybe I can't. Last name dot text. I can of course type it as well. And then you can see it automatically as Chyron. So if I now change this parameter, then it will also update it inside the text. So right now they're linked to each other. Everything is bound to each other, and it can be used. So if I just save this template, lower third test, I'll load that in. And you can also see if I go to my view in here and I open up my parameters, that I will also have a complete overview of all the parameters that are there. And one of them is, of course, the application. So that means that through all the projects, I can save parameters. But the parameters that I've saved is a project parameter, so it will only be visible in this project. And now you can see that we have, well, there was already one from the last time, and we have the name show in here. So in here, I'm also able to change it, enter it, and then it will automatically update all the templates that are there. So this is mainly, of course, used when you're using like scoreboards, then you can automatically update the score in here, and then all the templates will basically look at this project parameter and can use it. But you can, of course, also use this for any kind of types of color that you would like to use. So you can also save the color of all the, let's say, all the bars, all the fonts. You can also save that inside a parameter. And then in every template, you will check that project parameter. And depending on which color it's filled in there, it will build up the graphics. And of course, in your binding window in here, right now I'm binding it to one text, of course, but if I have another text, I am also able to do it to another one. So I'll call it text 1. Dot. And then you can see I have it bound to the exact same place. So if I play it out again, see where it is. There it is. Now I change the project parameter. Oh, maybe I have to do a space in between. Yes, that's it. So a dot and a comma needs to be in between there. And then I can update multiple items in the same template. So right now it's linked to 2 items, as you can see right now. And of course, you can also trigger a condition and use the parameter in it. So if I go to the logic in here, and I named it name show. Then I can build a new condition in here, add an if statement, and then I can do name show. And you can see that the name show is also available in here, and then I can use the value property of that show. Then I can compare that to Chyron. And right now it's not Chyron, of course, anymore, but as you can see, it's Chyron 22. And you can see it's true. So I can also compare all kinds of properties. So I can see if it's, of course, let's say if it's like snowing, then I can show some snowing animation. If the sun is shining and there is a special keyword for that, then I can show a different animation for any kind of weather graphics, and so on and so on. This is a pretty powerful tool. This makes it possible to, if you build it, of course, correctly from the start, it's really simple to, be in a very simple way, just changing a parameter to completely change the look and feel of your show. So it's a pretty powerful tool. You just need to know what you want to do with it, of course, and then start building it. So yeah, the possibilities are basically endless with the logic in Prime. But yeah, get back to the parameters. Any questions about that?
Ada pertanyaan untuk materi ini? Mungkin kita sudahi saja, sudah maghrib, karena mau maghrib. Gimana?
Ada Us, bentar Pak Daus.
Yes.
Untuk ini sih oke ya. Tapi untuk halo Pak Daus.
Ya.
Dulu. Pak Daus, untuk ini sih oke, tapi ini aku cobain yang tadi ya, kita untuk yang di Octopus. Ini previewnya belum Pak Daus. Previewnya hanya teksnya aja.
Oh, udah selesai itunya, uploadnya.
Nah, aku nggak tahu tuh uploadnya udah selesai belum. Harus lihat di itu sih, caranya tadi kan. Benar nggak? Halo Chyron.
Hey.
Does the upload to hard drive is finished or not yet?
Let me check. This one seems to be up and running. Push all pending. It did upload something, so
Still on process? Or it have finished?
It cannot upload these files for some reason, but these are pretty old.
Okay.
And this one is already there, so I copy that over. Yeah, that's these are the questions text file.
Yeah.
So that's great. So that's all up. So yes, it seems all to be uploaded.
Yes. Now I'm checking the Octopus. Can I share the screen?
Oh yeah. Let me stop that.
Coba di refresh dulu kali Om.
Apanya nih?
Kan ini baru connect, nah ya itu.
Iya, ini aku create baru lagi. I created the fresh new one. This is the receiver on Octopus. And let me try this see updates. Okay, this is the preview of the in the Octopus. I can get updated of the text, but
The graphic
the
is
ground is not in that. It is because the file is a movie file or others.
I don't know, can be many things. Can you, if you open up the Lucy interface again?
Yes, this is a
Can
file.
you can you do the render test? That's the one that I added.
Render test.
That's the second one. Second item. Test render. Sorry, test render.
This is one.
Yes, that one.
Yes, this one. Test render.
If you
Yes, this I generate preview.
if you select an image, you select an
this one.
if you can select the image one file, you click on there.
Image one.
And then just once.
One.
Yeah, on the image one file, on that
generate preview or
on the yeah, if you go browse a little, oh, yeah, there's an image. Yes,
there is in there. Yes, updated image. I think is that because the skin of that I create this the update that I'm using a movie file.
Yeah, is it a video file?
Yes, a movie file.
Yes.
Yeah. If you see the project in the Chyron, I'm stop the share.
The project in the Chyron. Let me see. The see today?
No. In the project Chyron, in editor.
In the what?
In editor.
Oh, okay.
Editor, Prime, yes. You can choose see today. The project see today.
Yes.
See today, yes. Okay, skins. That is, can you get down again? Updates.
Well,
yeah, you can. Yeah. Can you choose the another one? You can scroll down the mouse. See updates. Up one. Right. See updates. Down one. In the center. See updates L3 lower.
This one.
Yes, this one. That is the project that I opened in Lucifer. This is a clip file. If you see the project is using clip, that is a MOV file.
Yeah, and the default is looking empty. Let me.
Yes, this one.
Yes.
This is when I using ISQ viewer, it is running, but when I create in Lucy 5, the preview doesn't show up.
Yes. But if I open up the template, right now it's also not showing anything. So this is the default template. So this is what it will look at also for the first template of rendering.
Okay.
So I see that the transparency, let me see how this is built. So I don't think that's possible with this video. So it will, whatever it will do with the rendering, it will just render it on the default in here. So the rendering is going good, but it's just because there's nothing in the default in here, it will just not show anything when you render it. So what you could do is just take a PNG of one of the frames and just put that in here in a default and just hide that whenever you do the effect in or effect out. Because I tried to seek into the video, but that doesn't seem to be working. So I think that would be the easiest solution, just to add an image that will only be in default. So you will see something on the renderer, because the renderer is working fine, but because there is no video in it, it will not show anything in there. So that's why the other image is working. If you take a look at the scene, the test renderer file that I created, that seems to be working fine. So it tries to render it, and it does that correctly. So the text is there, but there is nothing behind it, because the video shows the first frame, which is nothing. Does that make sense, or?
Sorry, wait. So if you say it is in the first frame and default, but why the text is show up, but the graphic is not showing?
So that is because the text. So the renderer is working, so it does the rendering. So let me add something else to it. So if I add an image in here,
Yes, you can.
and let me make that changeable as well. I'll save that and I will upload that when it's, yes, there it is. Perfect. So if you open up the Lucy.
Wait. Okay, this I will create a new one. You will see. She updates.
Yes.
Yes, there is image file in there.
Yeah, you can select
I have
that.
to select.
Take the Washington, the right one.
Washington.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then if you...
No, there is nothing.
Oh, there's also no image.
Yes, there is nothing in here. The text is updated, but the image is not.
Yeah.
Still no image in the preview in here in preview. And when I double click, this one is just the text only.
Can you select another image?
Select lagi image-nya.
Huh?
Image-nya select lagi.
Image-nya select lagi, oke. Okay.
Ya, ke Washington tadi.
Oh, Washington lagi, oke. Okay. Image preview. Then showing up. Or you want to choose another image?
Yeah, we just take one, the first one, yes.
Okay,
well,
no.
I don't know. I need to look into this, see if I can find something. But yes. Yeah, I don't know what's causing it.
It's not working, right?
Akan dicek dulu
Benar ya, berarti ya emang bukan yang tadi maksudnya si permasalahannya gitu.
Tapi di format itunya sih emang kelihatannya karena defaultnya emang blank.
Tapi kan tadi udah diisi image ya.
Ya, nah yang diisi image-nya dia mau dicek isunya di mana.
Oh, siap. Itu jadi concern juga sih karena sorry Jaron, it become concern because the newsroom we cannot preview the CGs. It is in line with the background or not.
Ya, tapi ini kan nggak semua file kan?
Yang gua buat aja sih. Kalau yang dia buat itu ada beberapa kayak yang tadi ya. Misal nih gua share screen dulu. Kalau yang ini itu tadi ya mana ya? Contohnya itu isi file itu inilah ya. Itu update. Ya kan? Update ya. Di image juga update harusnya. Reviewnya. Nah, ini kan terupdate gitu terus
ya.
Kalau yang file ini kan keupdate gitu. Gue nggak tahu masalahnya ada di mana gitu. Apa karena pembuatan CG-nya something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jeroen need to take a look of this, and perhaps we will update. We will update again.
Yep.
Okay, Jeroen, I think you can say you can take a look where the problem is.